Hello, good morning. Let's get right to it. Welcome to the ORourke Report. It's Friday the 8th, and I will start out by saying, which I should do every time, and I'm going to get the habit. Please, if you like this channel, you like tuning into it, you like what you see, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. As I've said before, it doesn't cost anything. What it does is the people in the YouTube home office who rate all their content creators, they use that information for their analytics, so it does help me out. And it takes no time for you to just hit the like button, subscribe button, one or the other, both best. So if you do that, that would be great. Okay, thank you very much. All right, I want to start out today by saying I was so glad to read yesterday that Andy Cohen is hitting back at the Leah McSweeney lawsuit that she's put out there. He's that called it a shakedown. And his legal letter, the letter his attorney sent to her attorney, leaked to page 6, of course, was very strong in language, and I really am behind Andy on this, on going after what appears to be a shakedown. This is a method that Leah has used in the past, and she has gotten paid for it. She used that money. I think she sued the city of New York over something. Don't have the details, so forgive me. I don't, recall the details. I can look it up. But she went after, I believe it was the city of New York over something. They settled, and she got money that she used to start her clothing line. And it appears she might be doing the same thing here. Her tenure on the Housewives shows was an open book. She was not shy about anything. She shared everything. How she can claim she has somehow been misused, that it was not her own behavior that caused her embarrassment, is beyond me. If she was embarrassed by what she saw, what the outcome is, it really comes down to her, an adult woman in her mid to late 30s. Come on now, Leah. It's time to pack that in and just be glad. Well, you may end up having to pay his legal fees, and if you don't, that was a very expensive mistake on your part. So, what I watched last night, and I was prepared to be kind of bored by it, but ended up being fascinated by a couple of things that I was seeing on the Beverly Hills Reunion Part 2. A sober Kyle is very sure in what she wants to say and how she wants to say it. She's not cowed by anybody. She nailed Sutton on a couple of things. Sutton, on the other hand, is very affected. She very unsure of herself. I think she's heavily influenced by whatever other people tell her to do and what she should be doing. And like I said, Kyle nailed her on a couple of things. And she tried to, Sutton tried to then use her old chestnut type of reactions, feigning the delicate Southern Belle act. And whoever told her that works, it doesn't work. Find out whoever the real Sutton is, and that's who you should be. You should be anything else but the real Sutton. And when you're not the real Sutton, conversations like you had with Kyle happen when people, can confront you and you really don't have an answer because you have no idea who you are and what you're saying. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And full disclosure here, I've never been a fan of Kyle's. I again, the same reason I mentioned yesterday with Tarit. I didn't like the way Kyle turned her back on the LVP, joined forces with the other women who were bound and determined to take her down. And so not a huge fan of Kyle. But after last night and what I saw last night, I've got to say, I had some admiration for her. So curious to see what happens going forward with Kyle Richards. As I've mentioned before, I hope things work out with her and Mauricio, because while I wasn't a big fan of Kyle, I was certainly always a big fan of Kyle and Mauricio's. Hope that works out. Okay. Yeah. Something with Erica Jane and why she had to appear. Oh, okay. Um, Andy asks her the question if the reason was there a legal reason she was appearing to be unsympathetic to the victims of her husband, Erica Jane's husband's embezzlement, where he took settlement funds for victims of whether it was there was one family who was had a gas explosion. They were victims of that. They were given, they had won their settlement, and of course the airplane victims. And Andy asked her the question, was there a legal reason you went on record as not being empathetic? In other words, did you have attorneys telling you not to express remorse because thereby making yourself appear liable? And she said, no, that wasn't the reason. uh, okay, well, you want to tell us what the reason was you weren't empathetic? She doesn't answer that either. Which gets me back to a scene that happened very early in this season where she's meeting with a therapist. And she asks the therapist, the therapist is saying to her, you need to show empathy. You need to let people know how you feel. And Erica looks at the therapist and says, well, how do I show empathy? You either have empathy or you don't. You can't fake it. Sociopaths fake empathy. And if you're looking just to fake it, well, you could probably Google something and find out. But I thought it was very interesting that she had no idea how to show empathy, which was very, very telling. I think she's still in that vein, although she's certainly climbing out of some of the darkness that enveloped her in 2020 when all these evil doings by her husband were brought to light, and she was painted with the same brush because the argument was, or the story was, he was pouring money into her to further her cabaret career or whatever that dancing career is. So she's coming out of that hole. She's coming into her own, and I hope she's happy. And maybe she'll find out what empathy is one day. So another good thing that I thought was very interesting that I really liked was, again, this is Erica Jane talking about her soon-to-be ex-husband's alleged Alzheimer. Am I saying that right? The courts have found that he is competent to stand trial, so his trial is going to go forward. Tom Girardi. I was trying to blank on his last name. And Erica Jane says something to the effect, well, I don't see how they could possibly do that, blah, 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 the man is this, that, and the other thing. So Crystal pipes up. Apparently her father-in-law, I think she said, had Alzheimer's, and she was very well versed in that illness, and she was saying in essence to Erica Jane, gee, if he really, in essence this is what she said, I'm paraphrasing, if Tom really did have Alzheimer's, he would be, and the usual progression for Alzheimer's from diagnosis to death is 9 years. She said at this point he should be pretty far along in his in the disease. And in other words, if he was really that far along in the disease, she finds it hard to believe the courts would mark him down as competent to stand trial. So again, she kind of nailed Erica with some facts. And Erica didn't pursue it. She kind of just let Crystal get away with it, which Erica would never do in the past. She would, snarl some invective at poor Crystal. But thought that was interesting. Then Andy asked a question to Erica, which is one of the reasons I loved Andy Cohen from the very beginning. I think the first time I ever saw him, he did a reunion for Top Chef. Back in the day, Top Chef used to have reunions. And this is where I first saw Andy Cohen. this may even be before the Housewives, or maybe the OC was the only franchise at the time. But he used to ask these really pointed questions that you, as the audience, would always say to yourself, gee, why don't they ask this? Why are they giving them softballs? Why are they allowing them to wiggle? And so anyway, Andy asks Erica a question. You can tell he's going to ask something important, maybe a little tough. He looks right at Erica and he goes, do you still have anybody in your life that was in your life when you were, married to the all-important Tom Girardi? Boy, that's a tough question, man. And she answers, she's got one person, some guy, the paparazzis have seen her hanging around with in Las Vegas, who she claims that is her personal attorney. Could be a personal attorney. I don't know if he is or not. But she says that is the one and only vestige she has is her life as the all-important Mrs. Tom Girardi. And I thought to myself, wow, Andy's back asking the tough questions. Love it. And then you get real answers. And so wanted to make note of that. Other little thing do I want to get to that one yet? Hold on. I think I'm going to end Beverly Hills with that one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end Beverly Hills. I am going to put up a second monitor so I'm able to switch between monitors so I can show you the pictures of what I'm talking about. But I don't know who came up with this hairdo for women where everything's pulled back except for two strings that they have just hanging down like this. Oh, God, it's just... Who told women that that's a good look? It's not a good look. You have the two strings, you have the bald space in between. I mean, that was a hairdo like in the 1860s. Women would take those braids and put it around their head like this. It was horrible then. It's horrible now. Please, who is ever in the hairdressing or glam squad business, please consider never doing the hair wings. I call them the hair wings. They're just not attractive, and women are always having to fuss with them. It's like, you ever see like Courtney not Courtney, which of the Kardashians? Khloe Kardashian is constantly pawing at her hair, touching her hair. You really shouldn't be touching hair all day. It just doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, and the hair wings are the worst. They were bad in the 1860s and 1870s. They are bad in the 2020s. Stop doing them. It's terrible. That's just my opinion. And if you don't agree with me, I'm always like to hear your opinions. Please put something in the comments. I'll get to it. Thank you. All right, so finally, after Beverly Hills came Watch What Happens Live with our friend Andy Cohen. And I don't ordinarily comment on Watch What Happens Live, because, every once in a while they'll have something really outrageous happen. But this episode had Denise Richards and Sonia Morgan. And Denise, oh my gosh, speaking of hair, I don't even know what was going on with that hairdo. I didn't even grow used to it by the end of the 30-minute episode. I was like, it was dark. It looked like a 70s perm. It was very strange. And she was good. She was very entertaining. The thing that was kind of cringy about the whole episode was Sonia. Now, I am not a huge fan of Sonia's because I think she's sad. I think she's got a drinking problem, and she acts out with alcohol, and somewhere along the line, somebody told her she was funny. And she's just, I don't find her funny at all. I find her a little sad. And she was from very lofty heights. The Morgans, don't touch the Morgan letters. J.P. Morgan was the king of the world back in his day, and that she was married into the Morgan family. that was high society. And she's no longer in the Morgan family, has not been in the Morgan family for decades. And she has, reinvented herself on this show. And unfortunately, she imagines herself being a comedian. And the butt of the joke is usually her being drunk and slutty. Gosh, drunk and slutty at 60 plus years old is not a great thing. It's not a good thing. It's not aspirational. Let's put it that way. Sonia, please stop. Sonia is really somebody who should not be on the show anymore. And, maybe she could, well, she's not on the show. New York is, she's the legacy cast of New York. But she shouldn't be doing any of the shows. She goes on the Ultimate Girls Trips now. And of course, the joke is her taking her top off or jumping in a pool naked and trying to hump somebody who's 30 years younger than her, 30, 40 years younger than her. She's indiscriminated. It doesn't matter. So, comedy stylings of Sonia does not work. Now, two small little things. Two commercials. There was a commercial last night. Was it on Beverly Hills? Could have been Beverly Hills. It could have been the Traders too. For something called, I don't even know how to pronounce it, NEOM. It looked like it could have been a golf resort. I'm not quite sure what it was. But the people and the lifestyle they are highlighting in this commercial these are the biggest bunch of annoying dopes you've ever seen. I don't even know what they were selling. Was it a golf club? Somebody please tell me. You can put it in the comments. They were real. Nobody should aspire to be these people. They're completely annoying. The women looked 100% like they would all be Karens. And the men were just, oh, my life is everything on the 18th green. God love you. Have fun. I don't know what the commercial was for, but remind me not to buy it. And one more, I thought it was very interesting. It was on the Today Show, and I think this was right past the 7:30 hour. So some really prime real estate as far as it came, or it could be right before the 7:30. Prime advertising real estate time slots, and it was Ozempic, in my mind, getting ahead of all the lawsuits that are going to be coming down the pike in the next couple of years, now that everybody has jumped on the weight loss bandwagon using Ozempic to do it. And basically the commercial is, highlights the type of client Ozempic was made for, which is somebody, overweight, type 2 diabetes, is looking to drop those 30, 40 pounds. And really who the drug was made for is to get that A1C down below the 5.7. And I think the commercial says, not for people to look good on the red carpet or something like that. Well, that just drives a stake into the heart of Hollywood, doesn't it? But it also, in my mind, starts the engines for the people who have rushed to use Ozempic, are using it, or have continued to drink, which you really can't do on Ozempic, are getting pancreatitis, all sorts of, there are ramifications. I say this all the time. There are no free lunches in this town. There is no such thing as a magic drug that, just disappears the fat. There are consequences to maybe misusing this drug to lose weight. And I think the evidence is out there, and I think that's why you're seeing commercials like this from Ozempic, so Ozempic can, say, well, we have warned people that this is not for casual weight loss. This is for blah, 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 blah. So, just thought that was very interesting. So that is all I have for today. I will say for tomorrow, I did watch Traders last night. Did I mention that at the top? I can't remember. So we will discuss the Traders. And also, I've been meaning to read this article all week. The New Yorker which is a very august magazine. I think we can all agree on that. Does an in-depth article on RuPaul. So I'm going to make a point of reading that this afternoon, and maybe I can discuss some of it with you tomorrow. So again, if you like what you saw, you stuck with me so far, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, and thanks so much for dropping by, and I'll see you tomorrow.